With over 200 species of orchid native to the Japanese archipelago, this is a land brimming with possibilities of seeing them in the wild. Indeed, within a mere 30-minute walk from my front door, I've seen no less than 16 different species growing. If you travel an hour away by foot, there are another half dozen more to be seen. So even here within the largest metropolitan area in southern Japan, wild orchids abound. In this video, follow me as I walk the local woods, roadsides, and fields in search of these living jewels. Well, interesting. Here's a find. I've been out here in between working on my university stuff, looking for some of the orchids that should be doing their thing right now, specifically those ghost orchids I was talking about in the last video, or whatever video that is, when I went up to the ghost forest on the other side of the valley there, looking for things like the Cymbidium mycorrhizon and the Certosias and Epipogium and all that. And I'm out here looking now because this is the time and it's a delightfully cool day. It's a little overcast, which makes it harder to film, but it's wonderful walking weather for this time of year. Anyway, I came across here, there's a little colony of Cephalanthera in bloom, and well, in bloom, actually seed pod. And I'm guessing by their stature that these are probably fairly robust specimens of Cephalanthera erecta, the little white-flowered one, the Ginnan silver orchid. Anyway, kind of cool, kind of interesting little bonus. Not earth-shattering, but if it's an orchid, I'll take it. Well, didn't find the ghost orchids I was looking for today, but I did find this little Paris. I knew I would. I mean, it's kind of a, I guess, compensation for hoping to find something else. I did find a little Lecanorchis that had flowered last year and left some seed pods, and I should have photographed it just to record it, but I didn't. Anyway, here's a little Leparis species that says Leparis nervosa. Some authorities would call it biturbiculata. It's a wide-ranging plant. This thing lives all over the globe, pantropic, so Africa through Asia. Not sure about Australia, but into the Americas as well. It's kind of cool. It's got these little kind of deep purple flowers that are almost a burgundy purple, and they got this little bright green, yellow-green column where the pollinia are. Neat little plant, real common in these parts. Not a bad way to end the well, not the video, but the end of today's little adventure. But anyway, here's a neat little thing. Evergreen, not particularly cold hardy. This is not one of the cold hardy Leparis. It's a subtropical species, I would call it. And here it's wandering up into the southernmost temperate region because winters here aren't particularly cold. But this is more proper to a tropical or subtropical climate. Cool. Leparis nervosa, pretty awesome. Okay, so here I am walking in this park. See it? This is kind of like a little false wetland here that they made. There's a dam and a little creek. That whole area I was just walking in is that's a kind of a, well, it's a natural drainage that, oh, I don't know, more than half of it is in plantation forest, but the other half is in the native forest. What I'm doing down here is I'm down here in the this little grassy area, searching for a real common species. This is, you've seen it before if you've been watching my channel, Spiranthes sinensis. And, oh, here's a couple right here already. Go ahead and come down here and take a look at them. This is a typical little field. There's nothing special about this. This is not a wetland or anything. And you can see that the Spiranthes are really common in here. Here's a whole other group over here. This is a plant that can be found in any field in southern Japan. Wet, dry, you name it, they're all around. They're everywhere. So here I am kneeling inside this little colony of Spiranthes to finish up today. Yeah, well, we didn't quite find what we were looking for, but we found the usual suspects, and that was fun. Finding the Cephalanthera was a little bit exciting, but not that exciting. I've seen many of those. They can number into the hundreds. The Spiranthes, they show up constantly in the yard. They're growing in my orchid pots, and there's even one growing out over my carport inside one of the little drainage channels. I don't clean it out very well, so moss grows there, and there's one growing in there, so I'll show you that in an upcoming video when it flowers. Yeah, well, there's a lot more around, so in this video I'll continue this later, and you can see some of the other things we have. There's the potential for one more ghost orchid, possibly two others beyond that, but I'm kind of losing hope on those. There's one I can probably find though. And then there's an epiphyte, which you'll find interesting. That also will be flowering probably within the next week, so I'll try to get out to that colony and show you that too. So all these things will be within a matter of 20-minute bike ride of my house, right? Or closer. Where I am right now, 5 minutes. So anyway, I'm going to go ahead and close it off there. I hope you enjoyed this segment, and hopefully we can get cooler stuff in the coming days. Well, here it is about a week and a half later, and we're right near that colony of Spiranthes that I showed you last week. And we're going out today for a very specific task. We've been having extreme rain here, as is normal for this time of year. This is the true monsoon season of southern Japan. The monsoon is when there's a very stable stationary front that forms, and what that is that's the what we call the bayou line. That's the this monsoon line, and the monsoon rains hit here for about 6 weeks on average, something like that. And then when they finish up, you get this. That's when the heat starts, you know. So right now it's actually not too bad. Right now it's humid as heck because of course it's been raining like the dickens for the last 4 or 5 days. There's been actually catastrophic flooding south of us to the point that it's making actually international news. Well, anyway, to finish up this video, I'm going to go ahead and show you a colony of a plant that I think more of you will be interested in than the other plants I've been showing you so far, and that is Neofinetia falcata, so the wind orchid. This is not a native colony. Okay, it's definitely humans were involved at some point in the past, and so it's not technically a wild colony, but it's pretty cool. And along the way we might see some things. Definitely see Spiranthes, but there's at least one other thing that probably is worth mentioning, so I'll go ahead and show you that too. Did I say it wasn't that hot? Who's kidding who? Here we're coming up to the first thing that's of interest. Not an orchid, but another plant that lives around, and this is Hermericalis fulva variety Quansol. It's a daylily. So we can flip around here and you can take a look at it. So this is a plant that's found throughout southern Japan. It's not a native, well actually the species Hermericalis fulva is, but this particular form is not. This is actually a triploid. So it's sterile, and the only way for it to get around is by human hands, and you can see it grows along these rice paddies, right? And there's more over there. So the only way for them to get around is by human hand. Probably brought from China sometime in the not so distant past, maybe in the last several hundred years. But they grow all up along inside these fields, along the berms. And don't ask me why people plant them. Probably just because they're cool looking. Maybe because there was some sort of a medicinal value to them at some point. But yeah, so you can see here's the separating berm between the fields, and that's where they grow. And right here on the roadside, as expected, there's some more of the Spiranthes sinensis. It's a colony I've been following for many years. It again growing along these berms. Right on the side of the road, you can hear the traffic behind me. And they just live down in the grass there. They like this short grass. The grass gets really tall, they get out competed and eventually they'll die off. Individual plants on these are not very long lived anyway though. So, you know, maybe just 4 years, something like that. They come into flower within a year or two of germinating, so kind of an interesting orchid, sort of a weedy orchid compared to many. Okay, so I'm coming up on this little town here that's kind of left from the past. I mean, it actually is still in Sasaguri town, but it's really off on the edge of a mountain here, and because of that, it's kind of a we would call this almost like a little village, mura. And these are tight little spots, so I'm gonna have to be quiet when I get in here, even though I'm in this crazy busy road here, because these are kind of private areas. Go ahead and turn around here and show you. Up above is the mountain there, and then down here's this little creek in this little community. Well, up along this creek here, there's some persimmon trees that have the colony in it. Okay, I'm going to talk a little quiet here. This is the colony I'm talking about. It's quite sizable, and it's all up inside this little persimmon tree. It's the next door persimmon tree also has some of them. So let me go ahead and photograph these guys so you can enjoy them. Okay, so anyway, there's a taste of this colony. As you can see, it's rather impressive. There's well over 100 individual plants in here, and they're obviously seeding and growing well. I have been allowed to stay here, and people have been noticing me, but I think it's time for me to move on. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed today's video, and you got to see some of the plants that are flowering in and around our monsoon season here, orchid plants, and some of the other plants as well. Anyway, very soon there will be a video going up about Fukidan that I grow in my own collection. Could not go to the shows this year because of the coronavirus. They're all closed down. But anyway, you got a taste of seeing this species in a semi-natural state. So I hope you enjoyed it, and I'll see you in the next video.